would have been there supporting him.
Yeah.
You would have been on the bridge with him.
Yeah.
There you go. That's right.
That's a fair question.
So let's fast forward to somebody like Edward Snowden.
All right.
He's a hacker. He accessed government networks. Said he uncovered what he thought was unethical actions or illegal actions on the part of the government in terms of digital surveillance of citizens that were having their privacy violated. And he went public with it. WikiLeaks, right? Was that ethical for him to do that? Was it illegal? Was it illegal?
It's his ethicals,
Yeah,
but it was illegal. It's
under the
both.
law?
It's both. Yes.
Right, okay.
It's both.
It was illegal under the law because he divulged classified material.
Yeah.
So it was illegal under, but he said he did it for an ethical reason.
Correct.
His morality was challenged, and he said he had no choice but to release it.
Correct.
Anybody support Snowden's act?
Don't answer. Don't answer.
Don't worry, you're not
Don't
being
answer.
surveilled.
No, I'm not.
You're not being surveilled.
Everyone just don't answer.
No, I think we
It's your
have to have
question.
a conversation, right? Because, we, in the United States, even under the, say we had a draft. During World War II, we drafted everybody, right? A lot of people wanted to fight. My mom was a little girl when Pearl Harbor was bombed. She would have been 9 years old. No, she wasn't that old. She was 6 years old. So my mom's 6 years old. Yeah, Pearl Harbor gets bombed. Well, she just turned 7. 7 years old, Pearl Harbor gets bombed. Everybody freaking out. Said, everybody runs down to join up. Recruiting stations, there were lines down the block and around the corner. Everybody wanted to go fight. Some folks, though, I don't think so. And then they had the draft. Right? Yes, excuse me, but you got to go. There was a group of people who, as a group, the entire group, they objected. They objected to fighting. They were passive. And those were the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They weren't the only ones, but as a group, they said, no, we don't believe in fighting. Right? So they were called conscientious objectors. And the government said, okay, we got other things you can do. Right? And they did other work. They were in uniform, but they didn't get deployed. Although one soldier did get deployed. Wasn't just the only one, but there was one, and he became famous. He said, I will not carry a gun. They said, okay, we'll train you as a medic. Mm-hmm. So they trained him as a medic, right? Because he didn't carry a gun. Clint Eastwood made a movie about it called Hacksaw Ridge, right? So he goes and fighting this big battle in Okinawa, and all the other soldiers thought he was a coward because he wouldn't carry a gun. But it turned out in this big battle, he saved over 70 soldiers in combat, right? Was wounded and all that. And he got the Congressional Medal of Honor for what he did, right? Because he was a medic. But the idea is his morality, right, was such that he said, I cannot kill attacked us. I mean, everything from, from state law, city ordinances, federal law, right? So that's, if you think about it, I had a friend of mine who came to the United States from the UK, and he says, you have so many police from different jurisdictions. Constables, sheriff's deputies, right? Every little, we have our own
AISD.
police force. St. Thomas has a police force. They're not just security guards. They're commissioned peace officers under Texas
To the
law.
state police.
Right? But St. Thomas has its own police force. Right? So you say you've never seen anything like it. We have so many different police agencies, right? And they now, interesting that St. Thomas police have limited jurisdiction. They're still police officers.
But I thought they're under the state. They actually have more.
Covered under section 1911, right? But they only under certain conditions to protect the life and property can they intervene outside of St. Thomas. Like if they were in Conroe, driving around Conroe, and they see someone like beating somebody up, to where they think that the person being beaten up would suffer an injury or maybe even get killed, right? They can intervene and arrest that person, and then after they make arrest, hold them until the Conroe police show up.
Yeah.
Right? So they have these different layers. So now we have this really crazy thing happen. We're trying to figure out, we have different structures of government, right? And what allows a government authority to exercise the enforcement of laws. How come these guys can come and arrest them? Just because they got a badge? What does that mean? Just because they wear a uniform? There's something behind that. There's some sort of statute, law, regulation that gives them the authority to do whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah, they become licensed.
They get a license. The state has to establish a law
Yeah.
that determines what a peace officer is. And it's different for states. Louisiana might be different for Texas. Federal government only gets involved at a certain level. State and local governments, constables have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Constables actually have more power in Texas than police.
It's true.
Sheriffs have a lot of power.
State
And
troopers.
sometimes their powers overlap. It used to be that state troopers were limited. They could not enforce the law inside a municipality unless they were invited. They had to be invited. Excuse me, y'all come over here and get that guy.
Wow.
Right? And then they changed the law a little
That's
bit
awesome,
where
yeah.
they can still, used to be that if they were chasing somebody down the highway, if that person drove into the city limits, DPS officers had to stop.
Oh.
They couldn't chase them, and they had to get on the radio and call the city police to get them. They were really a highway patrol.
Yeah.
And they could only exercise jurisdiction on state property. When they went into a city or a county or whatever, then there was a jurisdiction change. They made a change in the law that said that any licensed peace officer, for certain things, hot pursuit, they're chasing you, you can go get you, to protect the life and property. So if somebody's wailing on you, and they happen to drive by and they see it, they can stop them. They can't say, "Oh, I'm sorry, no jurisdiction, keep driving." Let's get beat up. There was a time. And that's what happened. People say, "Wait a minute, this is ridiculous." Right? Any licensed peace officer should be able to intervene to save life or property. Funny enough, that citizens in Texas, when I first got my concealed handgun carry permit, back when now you don't need a permit.
So you have a gun?
What? I don't carry. I never.
Okay, not yet, right? Okay.
But when I first got my first permit, I had to go to this class, 2-day class. But they, under the rules that were in place at the time, I could intervene to protect someone's life. improper.
If you
That's
don't,
just a license.
but if you
gun.
don't wear the gun, then
But you can still do it without a gun.
so then why'd you need the
Pick
permit?
up a brick.
So why'd you need the permit then? You need.
Huh?
Why'd you go for the permit?
The permit was if I had a gun
If.
and if I carried it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So, but you don't carry, right?
I don't carry.
Oh. Have you ever shot it though?
Oh, I shoot it all the time. I belong to a gun.
Really? But you don't. Why you don't carry it though? I mean, I would want to carry
I don't
it.
like carrying it.
Mm.
I don't like the way it makes you think different. It's really weird.
Mm.
I just don't like the way I feel
Mm.
carrying a gun. Plus, it's a liability. It's a liability. You can hurt somebody. Right? So I figured I've gotten through. We have you have a whole set of laws, castle doctrine. In my home, I am king. Right? I can do pretty much anything. If anybody comes in, I can blow them away. Probably wouldn't.
You would?
No.
No, he wouldn't. He's not using the gun. Remember? He's not
No,
using
no,
the
no,
gun.
no, no.
What would you do?
I have rules.
He would talk to them. He would
No,
talk
I
to
have
them.
rules of
He would
engagement.
talk to them. Remember? Yeah.
I
Rules
have
of
rules of
engagement.
engagement. My rules, I have a 3-story house. So I'll go to the 3rd story. That's where all my guns are.
Mm-hmm.
They can have anything on the first 2 stories of the house.
Wow. We can go there today.
Hey, everything's insured. I can't kill you over a $300 TV. Are you kidding? That's stupid. Plus I get blood all over the house.
Yeah. We
Gotta
don't want
clean it
that.
up.
We don't want to use Clorox.
You want
yeah.
it on the first 2, as long as I'm not on those first 2 stories. But see, there's only one way to get to the 3rd story.
Through the stairs.
Right. That's called a fatal funk.
So you
You
would
come
like
up
knock
the
the stairs
stairs,
down and done.
Then you're in trouble. Come up those stairs, then it's on. All kind of hot lead will be flying down the stairs. But anything on the first 2 floors, you
You
can
can have it. Okay.
It's not worth taking a life over. It's material stuff.
But I think it's the fact of the matter that, you know, someone's coming in your house.
So what? That's a human life. I'm not taking a human life over property that I've got insured anyway.
So
Yeah.
people could just come live
I
on your
can't
2
even
floors.
Get a new thing.
So I can move in today then on both the floors.
No.
You're
Would it be different if there's violence against
not gonna shoot them.
Yeah, if I hear them getting a knife out of the, I got a little,
So if they decide to move in downstairs on the first floor, you're not gonna shoot them.
Get in.
They're gonna knock the door
I'm
down.
gonna call the police and have them called out.
That's what you're gonna do. Just call the police. Yeah, I guess
I'd
so.
call the police and have them called out.
You'd stay up on the 3rd floor and call the
Yeah,
police.
call the police. Hello. Somebody to come get them, and they'll come and they'll get them. I had a neighbor who thought somebody had broken into her house. She's come over. This is not where I live now, but where I used to live. She came over. She's all freaked out. I didn't go back to the house. Get your gun. I said,
Get your gun. Yeah.
excuse me. I said, wait a minute. We're calling the police.
Oh my God.
The police guy showed up, and he had his big flash. It was not late at night. He had a big flashlight. She said, "I think they're in the house." And he said, "Okay, I'm gonna go look." I said, "Okay." I said, "You might want to call for." There was a woman here in Houston where her neighbor fired a bullet, thinking he was shooting at a prowler. Bullet went across the street, through her wall, and hit her baby.
Oh my God.
Now he wasn't trying to shoot the baby. He was shooting at what he thought was a prowler looking through the window. But the bullet didn't stop when it missed the prowler. right?
Oh my God.
Bullets keep flying. Or that's why they make a big deal about on New Year's Eve, don't shoot. In the
Yeah,
air.
shoot in the air.
The bullets come down. It's like physics, people. Basic bullets don't just keep going up; they come down. And every year, people are wounded or killed by stray bullets. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway,
Hmm.
we're going to talk about criminality in this new space. Microsoft, like and we do that for a while. Then the business goes, you got a labor shortage. We need more people. Okay, y'all come. We go through these crazy cycles. Now we're going through another cycle. But the interesting thing about this cycle is it's different than most of the other cycles. In that most of the other cycles, when we reach full employment, right? That's when we kind of shut down everything. But we have a really strange thing, and part of it has to do with this internet stuff. So we're close to full employment. Close. But we have unemployment and a labor shortage in specific sectors. There are specific areas where we need people. And the other thing we have, is because of the way they do the workload statistics, is that we have a rapidly aging population. We have a lot of people who've aged out of the workforce. I'm still working, but you know, I have friends who've retired. They're done. They're collecting their, right, whether their investments or security, whatever. And they're not working. They don't want to work. And they're at that sweet spot where they're still viable and they can travel and do all this wonderful stuff before they get too old and they have to be in a nursing home or something, right?
Oh my God.
I mean, that's the way it is. Y'all laugh. Laugh if I'm still around, see me in 30 years, right? You won't be laughing. You'll be doing some calculations on how much money do I have and will it last for another 30 years, right? This is the big thing. People all these investment accounts don't outlive your savings, your investments. You don't want to be poor and you're like 95, 96.
Yeah.
Right? Not good. So, the way we set up our system is we need a constant infusion of younger people into the workforce who are paying into Social Security and paying folks like me. Y'all don't know you do that, right? I'm not collecting yet. I'll be collecting in a couple of years, and then y'all will be paying me. I'll call you up and say thanks. Let you know, hey, I really appreciate y'all.
I got my check this month. Yeah.
Now, who's going to pay y'all when you get old? Oh, they're young?
No, they're
That's if we let them in. So, right now, you know, the big issue, the border, too many immigrants, If you take away the politics and the hysteria and start looking at just the statistics, just look at the facts. The statistics say we actually have a labor shortage. We don't have enough young people paying into the system. And there's whole parts of our economy where we don't have enough workers.
So now we need the Mexicans for that.
You name it, bring in everybody. Here's the thing. So we talk about, so there was a guy talking about national security. Oh, it's terrible as a national security problems. All these undocumented, blah, blah, blah. So I'm following defense stuff. I do that. The Navy says, oh my God, we don't have enough shipyard workers. Trained, skilled people that know how to work on destroyers and frigates and submarines, right? In fact, the worker shortage is so bad that we're 18 months to 2 years behind in maintaining the ships we already have, not to even mention the building the new ships, because now the Chinese Navy is the largest Navy in the world. And some of our ships have been sitting in shipyards waiting to be repaired and having the maintenance so they can get back out to the fleet. So our overall number of ships is still pretty high, but the number of ships that are deployable, that we can actually put out to the fleet to fight, that keeps going down because we don't have enough maintenance workers. So they're actually thinking we may have to have our ships maintained by foreign shipyards.
Wow.
Because we don't have enough people in the United States that know how to do that. We haven't trained enough, and there aren't any. So there's a big shortage of them. And a lot of the shipyard workers, guess what? They're all guys like they're getting ready to retire. And they're telling the Navy, y'all need to get your act together. I'm out of here. You know?
Oh my God.
I want to get out there on my little bass boat. Right? I've worked all my life. I don't want to do this. This is hard work. And it's highly specialized. Welders, right? The kind of people that work on shipyards. We don't have enough people to do that. So, you know. And there's a lot of sectors like that. The trades. My brother-in-law is a big-time pipe fitter, construction guy. He used to go out in the middle of winter. He's got his hard hat on, his down vest, steel-toed boots. He's a union guy. He goes out there. He said, "We don't have enough guys. Guys being people. I'm using it. We don't have enough folks. But we try to go out and recruit." Because up north, the way it works is when you got a job, you go to the union and say, I need 30 people, and this is the skills I need. Electricians, pipe fitters, blah, blah, blah. The union goes to their hall and say, okay, you guys, whatever you're certified to do, there's a job site, go do the job. He said, there's not enough people. So the employers are like, where are we going to get people? Because some of that work you can't outsource. You can't outsource a water system in Chicago to Vietnam, right? They got to be in Chicago, right? But they don't have the people.
There's millions of people outside of Home Depot that know all this stuff.
Not for the skilled work.
But they have skilled work like that too. They have electricians. They got plumbers.
Some of them.
They got, and they're willing to work.
They got to be certified. As, like they have to be
All they have to do-
master electrician.
Okay, all they have to do is get the ones that are electrician, go master them, and done.
Well, we'll see. It takes training. You got to get past the certification in the state where they're working.
Yeah.
They got the folks. Anyway, so code. That's the physical environment. Now we're in the digital environment. Right? Internet. Got protocols. It's global. It's interconnected. And Lawrence Lessig, a law professor, I think he's at MIT, basically says, in the internet, it's your code that's the law. It's your algorithm that determines what happens or what doesn't happen, how it happens. So there's a whole book on this. And it's got the smallest type I've ever seen in my life. I can barely read things. Why do you do this? Old guys like me are reading it. Did that just to be me. But he talks about that in the internet world, that it's the way you write your algorithms and structure your protocols. Those are the cops on the lead. Those are the ones that decide what you can do and what you can't do. It's the code, protocols. the structure of the internet. There's no cop floating around in the pipes, right? And the criminals is malicious code. Right? So you have to build structures, right, in your algorithms and in your operating systems that will weed out the malicious code. Some of that, the cops are anti-malware, antivirus, that quarantine this. Whole battle going on inside cyberspace between good code and bad code. Some things are designed to attack your operating system, attack your databases, steal intellectual property, and you're trying to stop it. Patch management is like putting locks and bars on the windows, right? Putting patches on your operating system. So he says there's a different kind of law enforcement and vulnerabilities going on inside cyberspace that doesn't really mirror what's going on outside. It's a different world. So, this question comes up about internet governance, right? We've got breaches, we've got ransomware, supply chain attacks. And who's attacking them? Well, nation states, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, everybody else. Cyber criminal organizations, some of them affiliated with nation states, some of them not. Some of them transnational, almost like pirates in the old days. You know, right? Pirates could have come from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't all British or French or Spanish. They could, a pirate crew was made up of anybody who wanted to be in the crew.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you wanted to be in the crew, they didn't really care where you came from. Very democratic. Often they elected their captain. Many times people joined pirate ships because it was more democratic and they were treated better than they were on merchant vessels or military vessels, which were highly hierarchical with incredibly brutal discipline. Like, I'm going to be a pirate because you got a share of everything. Right? If they took a merchant ship and there was gold, everybody got a piece. And typically the distribution on a pirate ship was a lot fairer than what you got paid if you worked in a whaling ship or a merchant ship. Especially better than you got paid in the military if you worked on a warship. So for a lot of folks, piracy was kind of a good deal. Now, if you get caught, there was high consequences. People didn't hang from the yard arm, right? The hanging thing. But if you can avoid that,
I'm not worried about that. Yeah, that's the last thing to worry.
And one of the most celebrated pirates that you never hear about, you hear about Bluebeard, right? Long John Silver.
Long John Silver.
Right. But one of the most celebrated pirates was Grace O'Malley, an Irish woman who ran a fleet of ships off the southern coast of Ireland, attacked the British Navy and all that stuff. She had her own little castle, and she was being hunted by these other Irish people who were trying to get the bounty on her. And she decided that when she was ready to retire, she actually met the Queen of England, Elizabeth I. They had a little chat, and Elizabeth signed a pardon and says, "Okay, you all leave Grace alone." She's cool.
Wow. That's
She
cool.
said, "Well, you only became a pirate because y'all killed my husband and he couldn't take care of me and had these kids to raise. What am I supposed to do?" And the regular kind of jobs weren't paying enough, I had bills.
Gotta do a pirate, yeah.
Right? So I'm going to do the piracy. And Elizabeth thought, yeah, I could see if I were in your place, I might have made that decision.
You would have done the same thing, Eric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's your part. Let her go. Y'all never heard about her, right?
Never in my life.
They don't make movies about the women pirates.
Of
She
course.
wasn't the only one. She was the most famous. Okay, question of nations. Now, even though the United States, we built the internet, it ain't ours.
Per se.
So it's out there, everybody's using it. It's kind of interesting. I was trying to think if I could find any other historical parallels to what happened. So the U.S. builds the internet, basic architecture, but then it gets expanded, right? So if you think about it, all the little pipes where the fiber optics, right? There's the fiber optic cables under the water that go around the world. You go online and you can look up the transnational underwater cable system around the world. First it was copper, but now most of it's fiber optic. And it looks like, if you get a picture of it, it looks like the circulatory system or the nervous system of the human body.
Yeah.
Everything's connected, moves billions of bits of information. Plus we also have wireless, bouncing off of satellites, microwave towers, 5G, and a whole bit. So there's this huge interconnected network, initially designed by the United States, but everybody's been adding infrastructure. And nobody completely controls it, right? So, what does it even mean? How do we make this work in a system, a global system, where the operating principle for global society is nation states, right? I guess I'm going to ask a question, and let me know if I'm stepping on toes. Can I assume that everybody here is a U.S. citizen?
Yeah.
Right? Am I okay?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of foreign students. They're citizens of other countries. But when they're in the U.S., they're under whose jurisdiction?
U.S.
So if you break our laws, right?
Eric's coming for you without the gun.
Something can happen. You never know, right? You break our laws, I'm not coming.
I know you don't got the gun with you. I'm not worried about it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm worried about it.
So this is kind of interesting to me that we have this global infrastructure and there's no overarching one authority.
Per se.
So here's how we've done it. This is kind of interesting. It happened through evolution. The United States doesn't control the internet. China doesn't control the internet. The UN doesn't control the internet. Nobody. Where do we exercise sovereign control when we can? Where do we do that?
In the country that you're in?
Y'all have devices. Devices. The endpoint, where you happen to be sitting. So you're here on your phone. You're physically located here, Houston, Texas, University of St. Thomas, United States, right? You got a phone. Mm-hmm. As you interface with that phone, human-machine interface, that's where the government can extend jurisdiction. At the endpoint. Right? So you go home, get on your computer, right? You might be just commenting, buying stuff. A lot of people buying stuff. But if you're committing an act that is illegal, not only in the United States, making unauthorized entry or access to somebody's system, their database, but say you're hacking Bulgaria. You got somebody over there you're hacking, or you're hacking the UK or wherever, but you're doing it from Houston, Texas. The state of Texas, the United States, could take some action against you.
If they know where you are from.
Now they know. Man,
Here we go.
Yeah, people think we don't, we do, but here's what it is. There's so many people that are doing bad stuff, they have to weigh, do we actually need to go after this person, or should we go after this other group over here that's doing some serious damage? So they let 90% of it go.
Wow. 90%?
90, easy.
Wow.
90% of it they let go. So they can go after the nation state actors, the people that are doing some serious damage. And sometimes to do the digital forensics on them takes a lot of resources, law enforcement resources. So they don't have time for small time. They go after the big folks. And And then they got to figure out, okay, jurisdictionally, how are we going to make this work? Because they still have to go from the digital world to the physical world to an old arcane jurisdiction set up in our court system. Court system's designed, was kind of designed in the 18th century. Our whole system was. I always say we have the best 18th century political system operating in the world. We have the only 18th century political system operating in the world. Everybody else has upgraded their system. We're still running that old operating system. U.S. Constitution's been patched, 27 times? Those are amendments to the Constitution. I like to look at those as patches. Patched it a few times. It's just kind of limping along, right? So you go to the digital world, if you do something bad, we try to catch you. Even if we know what you're doing, we have to develop evidence.
Yeah, you can't prove it.
Extract that evidence out, put it in paper form.
Yeah, you can't prove it.
Take it to the DA. Say, go ahead and prosecute this person. The DA's got to catch you physically. Can't do it remotely. They catch you, subpoena you, bring you into court, and put you in front of this 18th century system. Judges, jury, your peers. And then they got to create the evidence in a way that those people can understand it and relate to it. They may or may not.
They don't, yeah.
Right? So
Maybe
that
what a
all
browser
takes
is.
a lot of resources and time. That's why they only tend to prosecute digital cases on a very selective basis when they think that prosecution will result in a conviction, but also lessening a real threat to the overall system. Most of the people out there hacking and doing all that stuff, they're not going to bring down the whole system.
So as long as we don't bring down the system, we're good to go. That's what you're saying. Okay, okay.
I'm not the
Thank you.
prosecutor.
Okay.
Don't take what I say. Right? The DA may have a different, right? The FBI, the DA, the Attorney General down here may have a different opinion. But typically, that's how it works.
Okay.
It's almost like we were talking about, you rarely see police give a ticket. Most people drive like crazy folks and break the law all over the place.
Yeah.
Usually the police only pull over somebody if they think you're drunk driving, weed, and that you're going to be a danger, right? Most of the time they just figure it out, right? They don't have enough cops to pull over and give a ticket to everybody driving like a maniac in Houston.
Yeah.
They would never do anything else.
It's true.
So they go for and the same thing is in the cyber world.
Okay.
The law enforcement that's dedicated to stopping cyber crime mainly goes after the big ones,
Okay.
the most dangerous, either nation state or cyber criminal organizations. I don't know if we had this, you guys, I remember bringing a digital forensic guy, Ted Swales. I think
Yeah, in a different
so
class.
Ted still does that. He's like one of the top half a dozen people in Houston that does digital forensics. And he does it for a lot of companies. And most of his companies that hire him, they had an insider. Somebody inside the organization stole some
Information.
Right, yeah. Some intellectual
They find out who did it.
And those people then were selling it to us, or they're just angry and they attack it. You know, they might attack
Sabotage.
their own system or sabotage it or delete data.
Or put false information in this place.
Right. So he does the digital forensic thing, gives the stuff to the company. 90% of the time, he tells me that stuff never goes to court.
Wow.
They catch the person. Usually by that time, the person's gone to work for another company.
Or they're in Russia, yeah.
And then they go and they get the other company to fire them and pay them, because a lot of times when they've done the digital, they were in contact with the other company, saying, "Oh, I got this great information.
Pay
hire
me,
and I'll give it to you." And they say, "Look, you guys knew this information was stolen. You hired them anyway." The company goes, "Oh, my bad. How much money you want?" "Okay, we're sorry. We'll pay you some money. Make this go away. We'll settle out of court." 90% of the time is settled between two companies. If the individual wasn't working for a company and they take it to the DA often says, okay, we'll prosecute against this guy. But what kind of assets do they have? If you want us to put them in jail, we'll put them in jail.
But what you going to gain from it? Yeah.
Right? And they've been doing more of this stuff. But a lot of times they'll say, this guy, when he was operating, they were stealing all this money. You know, they were buying Bitcoin with the money they were stealing. They got themselves a nice big house. They got 10 cars. And they then will go after all those assets. And they'll seize those assets.
If they're under his name, though.
Yeah. Sometimes, it doesn't. Sometimes they try to put it somebody else's name, but if they do this chain of custody, they find the person did put it under somebody else's, all that. They can make a case then that if everybody's involved in a criminal conspiracy,
then it would be, yeah. Yeah.
Then they get everybody, and guess what happens? They all start flipping on each other. It's amazing how.
Oh, I know.
Well, wait a minute, it wasn't me, it was him. No, it's her. Before you know it, they're all flipping, and then they seize all the assets. So, yeah, it's amazing how quickly people are willing to turn state's evidence when they're looking at jail.
Oh, yeah.
They'll sell out each other. Families
yeah.
sell each other out. Brothers sell out sisters and brothers, and wives sell out husbands. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, gosh. So, we're in a nation-state situation where the three big players of the U.S., the EU, the BRICS,
Yes.
right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and there's about 30 other countries that want to join the BRICS.
No way.
Yeah.
But they want to. They want to join.
in.
What?
Yeah, but yeah.
Why? Who? But who? What countries?
Saudi Arabia's in.
Uh-huh.
The United Arab Emirates are now in. Egypt wants in.
Really?
Turkey
Egypt,
wants in.
Turkey?
Turkey wants in.
Oh my God.
Qatar wants in. No one, because everybody thinks they're going to get a piece of China money. China's got lots of money to throw around. Ethiopia's in. Right? They all want to get in. Libya wants in. There's going to be plenty of money. Chinese are throwing around a lot of money. They want to get in. There's trade, right? And they want to de-dollarize.
Yeah, I know.
They want to get away from the dollar system. So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is huge.
So what do you think about
that?
that?
It's going to upset. I don't think it's going to completely upset the international trading system yet. I think we're seeing a change in the global economy, and the international trading system is undergoing modification. How far that's going to go, I don't know. The U.S. ain't, bless you. The U.S. ain't dead yet. Bless you. But they don't want a U.S. dominated system anymore. They say y'all have had too much control for too long. And our position is, okay, you don't like us, you don't like our control, enjoy being under China.
Yeah, it's true.
What the BRICS is going to end up being is a China-dominated system. You think you can get a better deal with them?
Okay, so do they think they can get money and then get out?
I don't know. I think what it is they don't like the United States, the Western system, U.S. and Europe, because they say, y'all are up in our business too much. In other words, the United States and Europe, we look at things like, oh, you're violating human rights. You're treating your workers poorly.
And China doesn't care about any of those.
China's like, hey, we just want to get paid, right? We don't care
about your rights. Yeah.
Worker rights. Worker rights. Look at the way people they work
exactly
4 hours a day in China, 6 days a week. They get
That's
nothing.
stupid.
right? We're not worried about world.
So do you think it's going to fail in the end?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, and then you look at a country like India, Modi, right? I mean, you know, working conditions are horrible in India, Bangladesh, and some of these other countries. And they don't like the United States, Western Europe, like I said, scrutinizing them too close, looking at everything they do, judging them. What's that? Leave us alone. We just want to do the business. Right?
Or basically, I just want to make like a new currency and.
Now, the problem is whose currency? Because you got Russia, they're oil-based. Their wealth is mainly oil and gas.
Saudi Arabia too.
They Saudi Arabia, Iran, all these are oil and gas based revenue systems. That's where their money comes from. Right? What's the number one oil producer in the world?
United States.
Yes, it is. Fracking, thank you very much. Right? So we're the number one oil producer in the world. You know, Saudi Arabia, Russia, right, Iran. The U.S. was number one. But again, they're looking at trying to create a new kind of trading system with the BRICS, right? They don't want the United States
To control.
Now let's switch it. Let's talk a little bit about on the digital side. So China's got Huawei, 5G. China's got its own system of standards. Chinese companies are huge in that space, right? What is it, WeChat? Tencent, right? Alibaba,
yeah.
right? So they're in different, I mean, and they're going toe to toe with Amazon Web Service, Microsoft, right? Cisco. So the world's looking at these two huge digital infrastructure systems. One's U.S. based, the other's China based. Right? And the United States is kind of saying, "Well, use the Chinese stuff because they have back doors in it. They'll be reading all your stuff."
It's true.
I mean, the Chinese say, "Don't use the United States because it's got back doors in it. They'll be reading all your stuff." Which way do we want to go? Do we want to be in the China system? Do we want to be in the legacy U.S. system? Can we get a bit better deal with the Chinese? Can we get a better deal with the Americans? Are the Americans going to be in our business? Is China going to be in our business? Or China not going to care about it, except that they can steal it? That's the only problem. The risk with China. They're going to be taking everything. Right? The risk with the United States is you're dealing with the United States pushing its political.
Yeah, that's
agenda,
about all. Yeah.
Right? So which way do you want to go? What's a bigger threat?
China.
It's an open question. It depends on who you are, right?
Yeah.
Depends on where you want to go ultimately.
Well, I mean, there's people in China that don't agree with what China's doing anyway.
Yeah, but they can't do nothing about it.
Not yet per se.
Gulags if you do something.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you get disappeared and off your art or something.
It's true. Yeah.
We haven't gotten there
Thank God. Thank God.
yet. It hasn't happened here yet.
No, I don't think America's gonna get there.
Interesting article I read, and I wanted to, since we just got a few, the digital environment has been to facilitate or help the rise of authoritarian systems. Dictators are loving the internet. First, they didn't like it. Remember the Arab Spring, Times Square, right? So, all over the Middle East, young people were like, "We're tired of this. We don't want these governments anymore." You know, Mubarak in Egypt.
Robotic, yeah.
All these countries in the Middle East, young people were rising up, and they were using Facebook, Twitter, right? Doing WhatsApp, encrypted messaging they were sending.
It's
Government
not
at first couldn't
encrypted.
handle it. Because these guys were demonstrations over here, everybody would show up, and right, it comes in. So everybody's are kind of freaking out. Oh, wait a minute. We can't control the Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman and the Saudi royal family is worried about it. Whoa, wait a minute, it happened in Egypt. How big Egyptian army is. It happened in Tunisia, it happened in Algeria, and it could happen here. What do we got to do? So they went out and they started hiring, right? They started hiring groups like the NSO group. They started going out and finding private sector groups that had affiliated with their country's intelligence services and knew how to do very advanced digital surveillance, Pegasus.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's find out what these young people are doing. Who's the ringleaders?
Mm-hmm.
How can we get these guys? Well, they said, oh, don't worry. We got the tools. We can do the surveillance for you. Just pay us. Came like mercenaries. Right? And then they started picking these people off. They started coming in and doing raids, arresting people, right? Do the digital surveillance. We're going to use these tools against these people. And they got real good at it because they hired some really great expertise. Then they said, okay, Iran did this. Remember when that young girl was killed because she wasn't wearing
the
her
hijab.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Young people were in the streets, man. The government was scared. So what did they do? First thing they did reflexively, shut down the internet, cut off everything, block everything, until we can figure out how to control it from our perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in the experts. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps created the ASEAN unit, right? They then were starting to monitor, arresting certain people who were ringleaders. They started using the internet to their advantage, right? So now we have a situation where governments have figured out how to optimize their use of the internet to shut down dissent, shut down the young people, cut off the internet, control the flow of data. They figured that out. It took them a couple of years, 3 years. Now they pretty much know how to do this.
Censor it all, yeah.
Yeah, and then censorship, and then they shut down. There's no dissent in Russia. You can't even call the war in Ukraine a war without getting sent to a prison camp.
What?
You can't. Putin says it's a special military operation.
Oh my
You're
God.
not allowed to use the W word.
Man.
You say war, you go to prison.
Oh my God.
And it got so bad in Russia that the young people were protesting if they held a sign up and put it on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. Sign said "Stop the War." Boom! They would geotag where that went from. They would then go there. The police would show up, drag people.
Oh
to
my
prison.
God, that's crazy.
They were monitoring all the phone calls.
I would have been in jail, man.
Yeah,
I would have been in jail.
We would have been there. Yeah, waving at you across the
Yeah, I
cell.
know.
So what happened is young people started holding up blank signs with nothing on it. They were still getting arrested.
What?
Yes.
How? If you didn't even write anything.
Because Putin was saying, I know what you mean.
Oh my God.
The blank sign.
Oh
And
my
they arrested
goodness.
people. So there is no
Yeah.
dissent in
It
Russia.
would have been a
They
real fight.
completely controlled. In fact, one day to show how powerful they were, Putin asked that the entire country decouple itself from the internet, shut down the internet. It's like 3 or 4 days there was no internet in Russia. Russia was shut off from the rest of the world. You just want to see if we can do it. Because everything in Russia goes through government controls servers and the internet nodes. It's all controlled by the government. So now people in Russia know, okay, you can't criticize the government. You can't do anything because they'll arrest you. Shut down.
Wow.
So most of the world, right, where there's authoritarian governments, they figured out how to use the internet to shut down dissent. Anybody, those of you who are listening or remotely have anything, comments you want to make about that? I'm making an assertion that I may be wrong. I hold out the possibility that I'm wrong. But I'm saying that now, at this point, the internet is actually being used to facilitate authoritarianism,
Yeah.
rather than providing dissidents a way to battle against authoritarianism. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Got an agreement over here.
I'm in fact agreeing with
Okay, we got another agreement. Anybody else?
Could you repeat?
Well, I was just saying that the internet now is a tool being used by government to facilitate authoritarianism, to promote authoritarian governments, rather than helping dissidents to undermine those authoritarian governments for free. It's too easy to censor things on the internet. I want you all to think.
particularly in like the developing countries where there's like civil unrest and you see like the government literally shut off the internet to stop people spreading information that they don't agree with.
Right.
That's the real scary one for me.
They just shut it down.
Yeah. And I don't see how that's legal.
Well, in their country, if you're an authoritarian government, you decide what's illegal,
Yeah, but I just.
right?
I
So
mean,
there's
it would be like, I don't like what you talk to that person on your phone, so I'm gonna turn off all the telephones. That's
Right.
stupid. That don't make no sense.
Well,
How
they
come you
do.
didn't do it with the phones?
Right.
Why are you doing it now with the internet? I mean,
Well, it seems like they have better control over the internet.
you could control the cell phone. The cell phone, you can turn it off in 1 minute. Why they didn't do it with the
Because
phones?
the internet exchange points that connect it through the service providers. If they shut down the service providers, everything's done.
Yeah, they could do that. They could do that. Why they didn't do it? Why are you
They
worried now?
probably they're waiting to have the technology and the capabilities. Now they do. And they go out and buy it. There are companies out there more than happy to sell them the capability and the technology to shut down the internet and to control it.
That's crazy.
And to monitor people
Mhm.
so they can then get evidence. And then they can monitor your device and go in and find out who all the other people on your contact list. Because, of course, if they know you, if you're a dissident, they may be dissidents too, so I gotta arrest everybody. And then I'll arrest all the people that they contact. And I'll arrest all the people that they contact. Before you know it, you've got thousands of people on your list that you can arrest
It's crazy.
because they're all connected to each other. So, we're a couple minutes away. We're gonna continue this conversation Thursday. Between now and then,
Thursday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Between now and Wednesday. What I want you to do is I want you to think of ways to beat the government systems. How can are there other technologies? AI, encrypted messaging app, burst millimeter signaling, all these different things. Are there ways that the people in these countries can still find a way, VPNs, whatever? Are there ways we can then beat government censorship and internet surveillance?
So like make our own internet at home and then like that, right?
However, come up with some ideas. So we'll
Make our
talk
own
about-
dome, okay?
Yeah, we'll talk
Block it.
about this on Wednesday. I mean, what can the average citizen do with the internet? And what I'm talking about, so real quickly before we're out of time here, what we're looking